Hey guys, good day. Welcome to another Hall of Fame interview. I have a close friend called Srini. This is going to be very interesting because he has a very unique and interesting trajectory. Srini's been previously for a long time in the United States, was working there, and he's actually very similar with my trajectory in that he came back to India, and he's right now the head of engineering at Wizard. Previously, he had a company which he sold to WebMD. He also took the upskilling program in artificial intelligence, and would love to know, his journey, his ups and lows, etc., so that hopefully this sort of inspires you. And Srini is extremely humble for all his sort of achievements. Would love to mind his head and take some information. Thank you, Srini, so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to go on. My first time ever video. Recording.
Yeah.
I'm nervous, but I'll try not to show off my nervous here.
No problem. I have profound respect for people actually, honestly, who are sort of what they call water under the carpet, like who are low key, but who also do a lot to society back. I remember the conversations we had during COVID and how we were trying to champion. But what is really, I mean, my aim for these, whatever little time we have, is to be able to, again, inspire from obviously career perspective, but also B is, again, talk a little bit, maybe if you have time, about the not-for-profit, or you have inclination to do that, or how that is budding and germinating. I know. So that maybe towards the end we can sort of structure. Okay, perfect. So without further ado, would love to know your journey from your own words, etc., right up to the point of when you took the course. I know 3-4 years ago. Maybe a little bit about your background, brief trajectory, your experiences, etc. Yeah.
Cool. So basically, I've studied computer science, bachelor's and master's, and I've been always interested in programming. I always sit in front of the computer, write tons and tons of code. I've been always interested in both math and computer science, and so right after my college, I joined an MNC in Hyderabad. Worked there for 3.5 years, and so then I went to the States, worked there for a couple of big companies and as well as startups. So we built an open source electronic medical records platform. We sold it to a company up in California, not to WebMD, but it's called Healthline. So then my family in India, so we have a family business, and it's been growing, and I had other reasons that I had to decide to come back to India. And so when I came back to India, I had few goals. Basically, one is I always believed in investing yourself, right? I didn't had enough. I didn't had too much of financial stress when I come back, so I had some liberty to take up my own decisions. So I decided to invest in myself by either upskilling me or doing a PhD. So I thought of, okay, so I'll probably apply for a PhD in IIIT, and I researched and found out one of my ex-CEO, ex-boss, was associated with IIIT Hyderabad. So I wrote an email to him asking him to, write some recommendation for me to apply for a PhD, and then I approached a professor, and they both recommended to take up the course that they're offering, and based on my performance, they wanted to check my ability to continue study, because I've been working for 15 years. So they suggest that, and then I ended up taking the course. That's how I got to know you in the first place. And and then after the course, I think I did reasonably well. I loved the course. Prior to this, I know a little bit of AI, and I never used AI in my 15-year career. But after, so for the first reason, first of all, the reason for me considering AI is to invest in myself, right? As I said, like, I want to uh, see what is going on out there, and add some skill set to my curriculum, my profile stuff. And so after taking the course, I realized that AI is actually, it adds a lot of value to your thought process. So prior to that, as a programmer, I would always think that, okay, you have to write the algorithm, or you have to build everything from the scratch, and you don't get the thought process of thinking in terms of machine learning. So you have, now after taking the course, I realized how you can actually leverage the machine learning capabilities to solve the complex problems, and apply them in real life, not just at work, but in real life also. You can apply them. For example, last week I was teaching my son how to build a car, an autonomous car, and it's basically use a computer vision and sensors to identify the objects and stuff. So it basically helps you to identify. Hadn't I known that, like, how what is the AI and what is the artificial intelligence, I would have probably go in the process of thinking of, okay, measure the distance, how to identify an object,
Yeah.
the thought process would have been different.
Yeah. Yeah.
But after learning the course, that my thought process entirely changed in terms of how literally can approach the problem and solve it, and be smart about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and I took the course, and then I again I started I've been involved with the startup, and we've been using very recently, actually, still I'm in the process of deploying one of AL AML algorithm to identify clusters. We are into logistics company. We are into last mile logistics now. We do a lot of deliveries for e-commerce companies, Amazon, Flipkart, all of these, and we built an algorithm to identify what is the possible hub where we can deploy rent a property and distribute the shipments efficiently. We took all the zip codes and their possible market revenue, and we input into our model. The model will calculate what is the better centroid using the k-means algorithm. I don't know what this was before that, right? So we identify clusters, and how many clusters we should create, so that we can efficiently use our drivers and the vehicle resources to economically
Yeah.
execute the deliveries. So I'm excited that my first AI algorithm is going to be live. I'm being a full stack developer. I can deploy the algorithm. I can create a front end and give it to the users, and actually create the visualization from this, and that makes them wow, right? So I can't wait to probably by next week we should have this going live, and then
Wow. I think that's fantastic. You have this unique advantage of having both the skills. Like that's like batting and bowling. You have the full stack, like you said, you know the front end, you know the back end as well.
right.
If and when it scales, I'm sure I know a little bit of your team right now because some of them are my friends as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's only a matter of time before you scale, and then you can, as a senior, quasi AI leader, you can also maybe guide some of the junior data scientists to try out these hypotheses, like you said, the k-means clustering, finding optimal set of clusters, the number of set clusters, and all these. You can at least, I mean, the problem is not many people don't know what they don't know. Like so at least
Right.
you know a little bit. You can talk the jargon. And if they're fooling you, you can sort of at least be little, catch their thoughts. Perfect, perfect. So let's rewind back to, I want to spotlight a little more, like I said, about the AI piece of the journey. So let's circle back to that focus. You said you wanted to do a PhD, and that's how you reached out essentially. But as a, as a person who's gone through from, on the pyramid from bottom to up, you've seen programming. You started like you say, your journey was from very modest programming background all the way up. What made you select AI? Like back in the day, like 2018, let's say, before that, I know you wanted to do a PhD, but why not cybersecurity or why not blockchain? What made you rivet on AI? Did you have like a proclivity penchant towards math, statistics, or did you just happen to get excited seeing some video somewhere? Like what drove you towards that decision?
Well, so my basic instinct of being a programmer, my basic instinct is always write the code, solve the problem with technology, right? And so there's a lot of people I've been watching. Obviously, AI has been making a lot of buzz, for the last 5 years at least. And I've seen the videos and people talking about that. And so when I wanted to do PhD, I've spent enough time with algorithms and programming, right? So then I wanted to do PhD in AI, to add. Basically, I want to test the waters and then see what is really out there. And I wanted to basically, I have leisure time, and I want to use this time to invest in myself, and then maybe then I decide what would I do after settling down in India, right?
Okay.
And AI is definitely the very buzzword, very much buzzword at that point in time, even still now, I think. And that's why I choose AI.
Perfect. Got it. Okay. Interesting. So it seems like you wanted to test out what the buzz was. You had some free time, capacity, or bandwidth, and you wanted to. So you just took a leap of faith in that area, and then you wanted to test the thesis. That's perfect. All right. So in terms of strategy, so now we've finished a little bit about the pre-course. Now let's talk a little bit about during course, and then obviously post-course. So during course, the course was intense. Course isn't, most courses are intense, etc. So what was going on with your? So I don't know if you had a child, at the time, but definitely, your spousal mindset. She had to also come back to India, etc. How do you have these conversations? Because the reason I'm asking is most people, like I said to you in private, try to get into coursework thinking that okay, it's an immediate thing, it's a quid pro quo, or immediate, very fast, short-sighted, quick win mindset. But how do you set something up for long-term mindset? So did you have conversations in the house saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to be off for 20 hours a week, and this is what is going to happen. And most of programming, as you know, is building energy, like conservation of energy. You want to like really work on your spiritual, your energy, your diet, your workout, and all that. So how did you navigate all of that, for that intensity?
Well, so first of all, when I came back, my family already prepared for me to take over some of family commitments, and they have expectations for me. And when I expressed interest to take up a course, they were like, kind of surprised. Why do you want to go back to school now? We have enough things to do. We are expecting you to come and take over the responsibility, family responsibility, and run the operations of our family business, right?
Yeah.
And they were not happy. And for the first few weeks, I tried to hide that I'm going away for the weekends. They actually thought that I'm vacationing, whereas I am actually sitting down in the course full day, trying not to get the phone calls. It's very hard. When I'm running about 500 people company, and people trying to reach me while I was in the course, trying to
Yeah.
stay focused on the course and trying to solve the problems at the home business. So that was hard to start with, and then slowly they figured out that I am actually doing something, and they made it. They tried to make it hard for me to not to continue those. They thought that I'm not focusing on one thing, right? So,
Okay.
well, I wasn't. I was trying to be very focused on the course, and yes, so it was hard to sit in the classroom, whole day, take up the course, but it was all worth it.
Yeah.
First few weeks, first few days, first few classes was hard, little hard. Sitting in the classroom, I still remember I felt sleepy little few times when the professor was talking. So I tried to sit in the front. I mean, the first few rows, so that I get more more attention to things that's going on, and eventually when people started executing the algorithms, then that made me actually more curious. Being a hands-on programmer, that actually made me very involved, very much involved in the course, and it went on really good. We had challenges we had every team was given a challenge to solve, and we were competing. It took me back to my school days, uh, where we were really literally competing to finish the projects and stuff. And I made some good friends from the industry background, with different industry backgrounds, and everybody has their own perspective of how they wanted to use AI, and some of them actually were actually bringing their their problems to the classroom, trying to discuss with us, and we were sharing ideas, uh, and yeah, it was really really wonderful experience.
Wow. So that's reality. I mean, two things. One is for a person who's sold his company, was more than a decade in the US, senior person, and you're back in India, and you're lying, and you're also, yeah, your startup, your family business slash
Mhm.
startup. I remember you were also exploring that parallelly. So you
Right.
have so many things going on, and you still had to like fib and bluff that
Yeah.
you're in the class and you're interested, and then follow your passion. I think the reality is what is the price you're paying to
Mhm.
follow your passion, right? The sacrifices. Not many people talk about it. I really appreciate having you here and talk about that. Perfect. So, okay. And so that talks about during course. Also want to spotlight a little more about your mindset in terms of the ingredients. For instance, did you have any apprehensions? Okay, I'm good at programming, but I'm not so good in statistics. I'm not so good in probability. How did you navigate that? I mean, because the mind tends to tell, hey, you know what? I'm good in AB, but I'm not good in XY. So what will happen?
Right.
Those resistances. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Right, right. So I wasn't. I had very limited knowledge about statistics before I started the course, and it made me. It made it really hard for me initially to start with, and then I went into picking up some material, read books about statistics and probability,
Yeah.
took some quick courses on YouTube and stuff, made myself comfortable about what is gradient, what is linear
Oh,
algorithms and stuff. So then, being a weekend course, it made it easy for me to spend enough time to prepare myself for the next upcoming class, and be prepared to absorb the lecture, so that I can make best use of it. So yeah, I wasn't good at statistics, but I eventually
yeah.
caught up to the curriculum, and then I made a yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Excellent. And so let's switch on. So let's move on to the next post course. We finished
Mhm.
pre course, during course, more or less. Now, post course, I know you just told me that you're beginning to use some AI or explore the unsupervised techniques, post course, etc. So, not sure if you've implemented all the techniques during the last couple of years, but can you talk a little bit about two-part question? One is that, and second is, I know you're fairly high up the ladder in terms of seniority. You're working with startups, etc. But can you talk a little bit about both from an employee and an employer perspective? What was your recruitment strategy? Or if you were sitting for interviews, did you even entertain those proposals? I'm sure you get a lot of inbound offers, or you got a few. What was the strategy there right after the course, or very more in an explorative phase? Can you talk about that?
Sure. So right after the course, a bunch of my course mates have decided to stick together to do a weekly meet or at least a monthly meet to see what are we really doing with what we learned in the course, right? And I'm still in touch with them, and we were doing those meetups, and then we are trying to understand what others are doing to, if they're really implementing AI in their work, which is not. So I think uh, a lot of my batchmates don't have the opportunity to use AI at work because they just don't see where the AI would fit in, right? And but the primary reason may be that they've been involved because they're already working. They've been hands full with their current assignments they're handling, and they don't see where they can actually fit the AI, right? And eventually, I think one of us found one of our teammate was really working in AI already, and then he's been giving us all the wow factors, and we would just sit and watch. And then until very recently, uh, uh, I realized that okay, you don't have to almost anything any problem can be solved by AI. And for example, even in the simple load balancing algorithms can be resolved, can be tackled by AI as well, right? And so you don't have to really use those in-depth AI algorithms to call it AI. Even the clustering algorithm that I'm using is not actually not big, very instrumental AI, but it's something to start with, and then it solves the problem, and then it makes the people uh, feel great about it, right? So it actually solving. So if you don't have this, people had to sit on it, and then they have to literally check around for a week to understand how many how much distance each delivery point can be, and then lot of time. But and when you sit on it and experiment with AI, it gives you the results on your face, and they are very realistic, right? So yeah, after the course we realized, I didn't got any I didn't give any interviews, but I've been thinking about where can I fit AI, what I learned to put to use. And that's how I've been looking at it. And yeah, now that I'm going to do it, I'm again I'm excited to get it deployed.
Yeah, I think perspective, like you would want to do enough to assimilate a perspective, a different perspective, like the same problem, you want to see multitude of ways of trying to solve it. And you know that you have to, expend your table budget, energy to get that new perspective, like looking at the same time distance problem,
Right.
either through physics or through AI, right? Yeah, that's actually a very
Right.
nice way of spinning things. And tomorrow, God knows, there could be another, I don't know, quantum computing that can come up, or some other technique.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
People constantly innovate and discover things or invent things. Perfect. Okay. And just want to talk a little bit more towards the end about, again, two-part question. One is what are the trends you're following right now, both either web development or AI, etc. Or what's in your mind the future looking like? You've witnessed Corona, etc. And what would be one final takeaway message for people in your shoes who are looking to upskill but they're on the fence, AI? And so these are two parts, and then we'll finally get to that you're not for profit, which I'm very keen. So maybe it'll benefit others as well.
Yeah. So I would say if you're going to, not just AI, but any skilling, even for the students, right? So don't even for fresh graduates, right? Don't look at any skill development as a money making idea, right? But try to look at it as your improving your thought process or enhancing your ability problem solving skills, right? So that's what technology is, right? Try solving the problem, real world problems, either with AI or just with any technology,
Yeah.
and then try to implement, try to use it for real time problem solving skills, right? And that eventually money will follow you. Money, when you're focused at doing what you're good at, money will follow, right? So, and AI is just going to help you to look at the problem from a different perspective, right? So where you're writing 1,000 lines of code can be solved by few lines of algorithms, and then
Yeah.
you're way ahead of your peers in terms of approaching and giving out the solutions, and the best solutions, right? So try to look at it that way, right? So how you're creating a difference, right? So if you're in the room of 10 people, so among the 10 you have to have a unique skill, and you have to have people has to rely on you to solve certain kind of problems and be good at it. And that'll obviously take you to heights.
Wow, that's very humbly and very deeply put. Given your level of experience, managing 500 people, that I'm still getting nightmares if I would have ever solved that on a weekend class just to get a different perspective. That's phenomenal. Perfect. And the last question is, I wanted to spend, I know, a little more time because I am personally very interested as well. I know you have thoughts of benevolence, of giving back to society, or doing something. Talk us about that journey a little bit, and where you see the next 4 5 years. Are you going to do it a lot more systematically? I know you were trying to help COVID victims with the bus, etc. Just a few lines. I know this is not AI related. I love non-profit conversations of people who are actually doing it, walking the walk. Because most people like to work, most people like to donate money. That's great. Not that I'm denigrating that, but what are we actually doing back, like in flesh and blood, in activity that'll help society?
Sure. So I would say, I always believe in this idea, and it's been that if I'm doing something today and spending about an hour time, by next week I should be able to do this within 10 minutes. Try to cut down the time that you're spending on a task, and if it is a repetitive task, try to reduce the time. One of the ways to do it is do the automation of it, right? And obviously automation involves a lot of using something that people have written and reuse it, right? It could be AI algorithm. Mostly AI algorithms are helping me these days to automate this stuff. And yeah, so try to look at a problem and see how you can efficiently solve it, and try to not spend too much of time, so that you can actually take this time, claim this time to go on, put it on something else, and then make it better, right? So yeah, so I
So,
think that's how.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I think that's a good final takeaway, miss, in terms of automation and increasing your own freedom to do unlocking other aspects, because monotony gets to all of us. So also wanted to
right.
remind about the last question, which was you're not for profit. If you're comfortable talking about that, your activity, etc. I know you were organizing oxygen cylinders for buses, etc. What else is going on there?
Yeah. Well, so COVID hit me really hard in terms of how I should, so once I've learned something, and I'm making enough to make my family comfortable, to make them feel comfortable, uh, and uh, and now when COVID hit, we were all staying home. Literally, I was running around to make tons and tons of money, and when the actual situation arose, I wasn't doing anything with what I made. I was just sitting home, and then I was having time with my kids, and then that's when I realized, okay, it's, you know, not running around is not just the life. There's life out there, and I've seen people actually losing their loved ones. And even I mean, I've been approached by some of my employees that, sir, we don't have a job, at least spare some money so that we can pay you back when we get to work, get back to work. That was like, it made me realize that, like, how much of, uh, how much time I'm spending in a closed box, trying to see, okay, this is just my world, but that's not just my world. Like, with COVID, people have seen hit the rock bottom of their life, either in terms of, financial or losing the loved ones and stuff. And that's when I realized, okay, I wanted to give something out to the people out there, to the society, and I had free time. And then I started volunteering, at a COVID vaccination center, and then eventually started thinking about, how in other ways of helping out people. And then spoke to my friends, gathered some oxygen cylinders, deployed a few buses as a mobile hospitals, mobile COVID care centers in agency areas in Andhra Pradesh and stuff. And then, yeah, it's going on good. We still have those vehicles running there, and helping the people uh, in a mobile hospitals and stuff. It's still going on. Yeah.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I think the right combination of IQ, EQ, and I call it SQ, spiritual. IQ, EQ, everybody understands. SQ is spiritual quotient. What we're trying to give back to society. I know that because of you, my parents got vaccinated. I'm really, really
I know that.
thanks. Especially when it was very difficult to get vaccination back then. So I want to
Yes.
go on record and say that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Bottom of my heart. Thank you for what you do for society. Maybe another time I can try to get your time and interview you for that. But this is wonderful. I really appreciate you coming, taking your time out. I know you're very busy with your startup, etc. I will also give some concluding remarks in case folks, you guys are interested in transportation or logistics, and if you want to reach out to Izzat, reach out to Srini, he's head of engineering there on his LinkedIn, etc. And thank you again for coming, for this.
Yeah.
If you like this, I mean, YouTube algorithms, guys, you know how it works. You have to comment and share. So please do that if you like it. Thank you so much, Srini, for coming again.
Thank you, Jay. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.